What's up, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Navigating Dental Insurance podcast. I am your co-host today, Jordan Comstock. With me, a special guest, Deborah Nash. Deborah, what is
Hey,
up? How are you?
I'm well. I'm really well. Yeah.
I'm
It's
excited to
good.
have you on the
All's
show
good.
today.
Yeah, I'm
Yes,
excited to be here. It's
we're
good
gonna
to see.
talk. We're gonna talk a lot of insurance and all that fun stuff that you see every day.
I do with my clients. And of course, I mean a lot of people know that yeah, I'm so married to this Southern bald dentist that hasn't been insurance he hasn't been involved in insurance for over 35 years, maybe 40 now. So yeah.
He's been
But
out
I
of
do
network.
I help my clients navigate their insurance situation. So I'm not anti-insurance. It's how you work with it and how you help the
Yeah,
patients understand how you work with it. That's the key. So it doesn't become the focal point. That's my whole premise. Hey, insurance is a great thing. And in fact, you always think you have to have questions with me. You know that I can have this conversation. So a lot of people, here's my little history, and there's going to be a quiz.
yes. Give him the
Might get a
history.
prize. They might get a prize. So you probably know this. When was dental insurance first introduced to the consumer?
Was it in the 1970s, 1960s?
How about 1957?
1957. Yeah, I was completely wrong.
1957.
It hasn't changed since the 1970s, is what most
Well,
people
no, well,
say.
you
I've
know what? It hasn't changed since 1957. Here's what's interesting.
Jeez.
So Washington, Oregon, and California added it as a supplement to the medical plan for unions
Hmm.
in 1957. What do you think was the average allowance per year in 1957?
Was it $1,000?
It was.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
was
Hasn't changed much.
$1,000. Hasn't changed much.
Yeah.
And the argument
Jeez.
that insurance companies have is that, and what they say, well, here's the other interesting factoid. Only 50% of Americans have dental insurance. And I know a lot of doctors think, well, that entire 50% of the Americans who have it are in my office. Thank you very much, or want to be. So 50% of Americans have dental insurance.
Yep.
And what insurance companies contend is that 17% of the 50% actually use insurance,
Yes. Yeah.
use their dental insurance.
Low
So,
amount.
so then the question is, so their question is, why should we have to change the maximum per year because it's not being used anyway? That
Jeez. Yeah. Yeah.
that's there. Isn't that interesting? It's sort of like three blind people describing an elephant, and they're all standing at different locations.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Um, they're seeing it from a totally different perspective
Interesting.
than the patient, than the dentist, the dental practice, and then the
And the
insurance company,
company. Yeah.
where they're all looking at it at different perspectives, from different perspectives.
That is
So,
interesting.
so how does the dental office navigate that? That's the question.
Yes, that is the question.
Yeah.
So, with that said, give
Yeah.
our audience a little bit on who you are. Most people know who you are, but
Oh, yeah.
um, but give a quick rundown on that, and then we'll get into all the
Oh, okay.
details and the questions. Yeah.
Yeah, I can say, that I've been in this industry since the mid 80s. I was actually recruited out of an audience by a major consulting firm. Uh,
Really?
yes, yes. So my dentist that I worked for, but I'm a school teacher by degree, and
I didn't know
I was a
that.
school teacher. Yeah, and I was recruited by my dentist to come work in his dental office. That was sort of the interesting. But all the bond issues failed, and nobody was hiring a liberal arts school teacher. Even back then, even back
Yep.
in the 70s, they were having trouble with team, staffing in the dental
Yeah.
office. We think it's a crisis now. It was a crisis back then, at any rate.
Sure.
So he hired me, but I had a dentist who really loved this speaker. He doesn't speak anymore, but he was part of, and a lot of people don't know. Here's another little history. He was actually a partner with Dr. James Pride, and they developed the Pride
Ah,
Institute. He was
yeah.
really, Jim Pride was sort of the design instructor, how to build a dental practice to make it functional. And Dr.
Mm-hmm.
Phil Whitener was sort of the practice management expert, and they
Hmm.
partnered. That's how that all happened. At any rate, I had a I had a dentist who was truly a Phil Whitener groupie, and anytime Phil Whitener was close to where we were. We
We're
went,
going, yeah.
we're going. So Phil, Dr. Whitener sort of said, my gosh, I mean, how many times are you guys going to be here? At any rate, he recruited me to come and be a consultant for the Pride Institute. And I was a Pride consultant until the mid 80s. And I started my own company in 1985. Because I wanted more control over the kind of consulting and coaching that I could do.
Sure.
I didn't want it to be so systemized that I couldn't veer off from, the cookbook or the manual, which was
Yeah.
an exceptional material, great a great product for dental offices. But I wanted to be able to customize it. I wanted to create a more of a boutique style consulting process for my clients. So I started in 1985. Then I started consulting, and then from there stemmed off into speaking and writing and doing, and since I've been doing it ever since. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in
Awesome.
1995, I married a fee-for-service Southern bald dentist and moved east.
Southern bald.
Mississippi,
That's
a
how you
Southern bald
describe him.
dentist.
I married a Southern bald
I married,
dentist.
and I always say, and it's funny because he always says, "Do you always have to tell them that I'm bald?" And I said, "Well, I think they know. I think they can tell,
It's pretty clear,
and I think they
bro.
pretty much know you're Southern too. So I think these things are self-evident."
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't that
I'm just
a famous speech? All these things are self-evident. That's a famous political speech. So, yeah, and then we started in 1997. We were married in 95, and he already had a little tiny teaching center, but we started the Nash Institute for Dental Learning in 1997
Mm,
that is focused on cosmetic and aesthetic techniques, direct, indirect, and full mouth rehabilitation. And then we also have a dental business school that we do 2-day training, like, for dental teams. And then I also do a team communication workshop because so many people come to the clinical portion and they say, I need to get my team to talk like that. I need to get how do
yes,
I get my team to say that? And I said, well, we can teach them. And so we created a workshop to do that. And that's kind of what we
that's
do.
great. And I
Yeah.
would imagine those soft skill trainings is like really, really important for most practice office managers.
You know,
Even the practice owner should have some soft skills.
Well, absolutely. In fact, I do this thing, and one of the things we'll have to talk about someday, I have these 6 critical questions that help your patients say yes.
Okay.
And 2 of them are from, the questions that the doctors would ask. But when I first met Dr. Nash, I'll be really formal. When I first met
The bald one, right? The bald one. That's who you're
the
talking about.
bald-headed Southern guy. When I first met Dr. Nash at an ADA meeting in Seattle, I was speaking, and he told me who he was and what he did. And I was West Coast. He's Southern, East Coast. And I said, it's one thing to know how to do the treatment clinically. It's another thing. It's another set of skills to know how to talk to the patients and help them understand, appreciate, and accept the treatment and want to pay for it. Those are
Yeah.
two still different skill sets. And actually, they don't teach the second skill set in dental school. They
No.
have to kind of learn it trial by fire.
Yeah.
And so now sometimes you have a dentist owner who's trying to teach their team how to talk to patients when they really, really never learned how to do it themselves.
Yeah. They don't know what they don't know. So they don't know.
Yeah. But what's really great now in our industry is because actually, I mean, you always say, how do you make lemonade out of lemons? One of the things that the pandemic did is it inspired people to go online and learn. I mean, it really did. So
Sure.
I think there's more learning availability now than ever before. It's how it's applied, and it's one of the things, and how the doctors and team take it and apply it to their practices. But there's so much education that's available to
Yeah.
which doctors and teams can subscribe. That if they applied it, then
That's the
it would
key.
absolutely it would help them. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's the key. They learn, but you need to apply, you know?
Well, and I think sometimes, in fact, I was talking to one of our other friends who's a consultant and a coach, and we were talking about that sometimes we stop before we start and we say, oh, my team will never do that. Or you have team members who
Sure.
will say, Our patients are different. Our practice is different. We work in a small town. Patients will never accept it. Our patients, and it's like, so they
No,
stop before
you're stopping before you even try.
yeah, they stop before they start.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And let's get into it. So, we were talking before we started the recording on some of the things you're seeing in the dental social media groups on insurance and
Oh,
all that fun stuff that happens every day there in those groups. There's a lot of information that we can take from those groups and talk about on a podcast or an article,
yeah.
I've noticed.
And there's a lot of information in all kinds of Facebook groups. I mean, oh my gosh. I
Yeah.
mean, I wonder what I do in the morning because I'm an early riser. Like I was up at 4 this morning. And the
Oh,
next thing
nice.
I know,
I
Eastern
wake up early too.
time. And next thing I know, it's like 6:30, and I have been reading Facebook groups. I've been reading what's been going on, with Nifty Thrifty and Dental Nachos and Kyle Summerford's office managers and ADOM, and bringing all that information again and say, okay, here's what's happening in our dental world, and there's a lot going on.
There is a lot.
Um,
I
yeah.
was on I was on a podcast earlier today, and the podcast was all about the AI shifts in with dental insurance, which I'll ask some
Oh,
questions with you there. There's a lot happening there on the AI side too, which is interesting. But let's get started. I
yeah.
got my first question for you.
Okay.
So
Okay, I'm ready.
yeah, yeah. Um, what do you say when a patient says, "Do you accept my insurance?" How should we handle that in the dental office? I see a lot of people just reactively responding, but what would you suggest?
It's interesting that you would bring that up because I was just training a team in Vancouver, and I said, okay, if a patient calls and says, "Do you take my plan?" Her first response is, "Unfortunately, we don't." Well, you've just lost this I mean, if that's the first thing
All
that the
right,
patient,
bye.
okay, bye, thanks. So if they're shopping, so I think first of all, I think it's important, two things that are important. Oftentimes, dental offices lead with the question, "Hi, my name is Deborah Nash, and I'd like to make an appointment for cleaning exam and x-rays, or Jen, I'd like to establish my records." And oftentimes the first question is, "Do you have insurance?" or "What insurance do you have?"
Yeah,
So now we start the entire relationship all about insurance. And we
yeah.
spent and I say, "Well, I have Disney Plan 2000. Oh, Disney Plan 2000. Here's how we handle Disney Plan 2000 patients." And we spend 10 minutes talking about exceptions, limitations, deductibles,
Just get in
maximum.
the nuance of insurance.
And and then we wonder why the patients become so focused on their insurance plan. Well, we focused on it first. So I think it's always do you take my insurance? I think the auto response, I've never seen to I was trying to find another word for lie. Tell the truth about whether or not you do or take insurance, but there's a nuance of how to do it. So, and
Sure.
we haven't taken insurance for 35 years, and I always respond by this and say, "I would be happy to tell you how we handle insurance."
Yeah,
So,
that's great.
so I will be happy to tell you how we handle insurance. Now, once again, in our practice, even though we are not in network, we're strictly fee for service. We have a lot of patients who have Delta, who have MetLife, who have Cigna, who have all those plans.
Hmm.
So if they say, "Well, I have, do you take Delta?" You know what? We do have patients in our practice who have Delta. Here's how we handle
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So
that's great.
I'm not going to say, "Yes, we take all plans." Yes, we do. We have patients in our practice who have Delta. Here's how we handle that. And so I think that's also important, that rather than saying, "I unfortunately we don't," or "No, we don't participate." And the other thing we have to be careful about, and I was just reading this on one of the Facebook groups about denigrating the dental insurance to the patient, because
Mm,
now it's it's the dental insurance against us. And I don't want to create
yes.
that environment.
No.
You know what? So I say, you know what? We will do our very best to help you receive whatever dental allowance, not benefit. And
Yes.
I want to avoid saying we're going to maximize your benefits, because it sounds like we're going to try and manipulate. We will do our very best
Mm,
to receive whatever dental allowance your employer has provided for you. Your employer bought a plan. So, under Delta, there are literally tens of thousands of different plans. Your employer
hmm.
selected a plan for for the employees. We will do our very best to help receive whatever allowance your employer has chosen. So, and that is, and then I will go on to our philosophy of how we handle that. And so, one of the reasons that we do not, we participate in an out-of-network relationship with that plan. So as we don't take your insurance or we're not in network, we participate in an out-of-network relationship with that particular plan. Because the doctor decided several years ago, or the doctor decided that it would be he or she or they would rather adhere to their standard of care rather than try to comply with the different exceptions, exclusions, and restrictions of any particular plan.
Yeah.
So they would like to make sure that all of our patients are receiving the same exceptional standards that our office can provide without the limitations, exceptions, or exclusions of any particular plan. And
Yeah,
that's why we
great.
participate in an out-of-network relationship with them.
And do patients resonate with that when you say, hey, we're out of network, but the reason why we do this is because we're
So I think,
unrestricting ourselves? Yeah.
and I think we go back in to also say, we will file your claim electronically for you to receive, for you to receive the reimbursement from your insurance company. There was a question that came up on a Facebook group that, if the patient is, if we are not in network, that means the patient is going to be receiving the check.
Yeah.
So the question came up, how should we handle financial arrangements? Well, for me, I think that's fairly obvious. I mean, if the patient is going to be receiving the insurance check, then the patient should be paying the treatment charges at the time of care. So, and I think it also goes back to that the more matter of fact we are about it, that I'm sorry, but this is how we have to do it. When the patient says, well,
apologetic. Yeah, you don't need to be apologetic.
Well, there's a whole lot of office. I mean, doctors apologize. If I came in with a broken tooth, oftentimes the doctor will say, I am so sorry, you're going to need a crown. I'm sorry. You broke a tooth and you're going to need a crown.
No, I'm so excited to help you fix the problem.
I have a solution. You came in with a problem, and I have great news. I have a solution. Yeah. So there's that switch. So I also like to make sure that the patient knows that, what, you are very lucky that you have a supplement to your dental treatment. 50% of Americans have some sort of supplement, and you're among that group. So it goes back to that. Yeah. So we'll do our very best to help you receive whatever supplement or whatever allowance your employer has provided for you. So
that's great.
Yeah. So
that's
I think
clean, simple verbiage.
We have you take care of your charges at the time of treatment. We have found that most insurance companies reimburse the patient within about 7 to 14 days of their care. Now, the patient may say, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I was going to have to pay out of pocket. Then what am I going to launch into? I mean, now we're kind of started talking about financial arrangements. So what? If that is not something you expected, that we do offer financing in our practice. So we have resources for that. If that is something that is going to make it more comfortable for you. Absolutely.
Yeah. We see that too with the membership patients, that incorporating that automatically, talking about financing is really important, because you're not submitting claims, right, to an insurance company. You're just like, you're a member of our practice and you get benefits for finance payments, right, for being a member.
But here's another cool thing. I have to tell you this story. I don't know if I've shared this with you. So there was a woman who came into our practice, and that our office, we're BoomCloud subscribers. So our patients are introduced to BoomCloud, and we are fee for service. And she came in, and I have to explain ethnicity because most people don't understand. She's a very strong German woman.
Okay.
Older, and she says, Deborah, I want to be a patient here. I want to be a patient here, but you don't take my insurance. Why am I paying my insurance for my insurance? And I said, Elizabeth, I'm wondering the same thing. Your premiums probably cost you more than our in-office membership plan. So wouldn't it make more sense for you, rather than to pay, and she doesn't work, she's paying private, rather than paying for dental insurance, why I would think that you would want to subscribe to our in-office membership plan, because not only is it less expensive than your insurance premium, but then you also receive a 10% courtesy on our fees. And she said, why am I not doing that? I said, I don't know. Why aren't so I think it's also using in-office membership as that means to say, one of the, oftentimes what our patients even recognize is that insurance isn't as cost effective as not subscribing to your employer's plan and working with our in-office membership plan. And actually they found out they actually save money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's way better.
Yeah.
I know I'm a new membership patient
I know
today.
you mentioned
So
that. I had a
I'm a
patient
proud
who, yeah, I had a
go
dad who
ahead.
called and he said, Deborah, I'm thinking of putting my daughter on my dental insurance. And I said, well, let's talk about that for just a minute. So your daughter is 15 and she's probably not going to need a lot of major dental treatment. I mean, you guys she's
Sure.
been to the dentist, and so it's going to cost you how much to add her to your insurance plan at work? He said about $150 a month, something about that. And I said,
Sure.
so times 12.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be more cost effective to have her have a membership plan in the office that would cost you X amount of dollars? I mean, that's more than half, 50% savings
Yeah.
by he said, oh my gosh. So I think that goes back to having that person at the front desk, not having a scripted pat answer all the time about insurance, and I
Yeah.
think that's really critical to have. So I think you could also even say, you know what, let's have a conversation about how we handle insurance in a very friendly way and a less officious way, avoiding the word our policy is. So even if we're going to ask our patients, if you noticed when I said we have you take care of your charges at the time of care, we'll electronically file for you to be reimbursed by your insurance company. I didn't say our policy is for you to take charges at the time of
Yeah.
care.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. A lot of practices. I mean, I've been in the dental industry for a long time. Whenever I go visit a practice or just hear them on the phone, when I'm in an office, they're very policy focused. How do we become less policy focused and more
Uh,
patient experience focused?
Yeah. And I think that's absolutely in today's world, especially now. You've probably heard this term. I was talking to another podcaster, and I'm happy to mention his name because I love him. I was
Yeah.
talking Kirk. I love Kirk Barrett.
Oh yeah, Kirk's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So I was doing a podcast with him earlier, and I said, we're living in what is called an experience economy.
Yes.
And what that means is that people are buying the relationship with that service or that company or that product, as opposed to the transaction. And
Yeah.
so many times what we've done in dental history is we talk to the patient about the transaction, what we're going to do to them, what we're going to do for them. All new patients get a full master's x-rays, and they get a comprehensive examination, and they get an intraoral camera photograph, and we'll do oral cancer screening, and you'll be periodontally probed, and then we're going to give you write up a treatment plan for you, tell you what your insurance is going to cover and what your out-of-pocket expenses are going to be. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I know. And we sort of throw this up at them, and we give you the menu of transaction, as
Yes.
opposed to,
That's industry jargon, right? That patients are like, what?
I know. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously the way we talk about you're going to be probed at your first visit. It's like, really? You haven't even dated, and you want to probe me. I mean,
Jeez, yeah.
yeah.
Chill
Or it
out.
sounds like I'm going to be gone into an outer space experience. I'm going to be taken up to some spaceship and I'm going to be probed and then brought back down. I don't know. So I think it's important to say, what, really in our practice, one of the most important things the really things we take pride on is the relationships we develop with our patients.
Mhm.
What we do clinically is a byproduct of establishing a relationship with you. We want you to feel comfortable and confident that you've chosen the right office for your care, someone you can trust, someone with integrity, someone who will be thoughtful, and all that. And what we offer is beautiful dentistry. But more importantly, what we establish is relationship with our patients.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah.
I know you can feel the difference when you go into a practice. It's like policy focused versus like patient experience focused. You can
Yeah.
completely feel the difference.
You can feel
Eh,
the difference on the phone.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
this is so funny. And I wish I could, I'm going to try and pull it up because I want to play it in one of my shows. There's something that came on Facebook, and there's Larry David, who's got
Yeah,
that,
oh yeah.
that comedian, and he's in a restaurant, and he said, and have you seen this? It's hilarious. And she
I've
said,
watched some most of Larry David stuff. Yeah,
oh, she
I
says,
probably should, I'm
David,
sure.
party of four. And he says, well, there are three of us. And she said, is your fourth person here? And he said, no. And she said, I'm sorry, we can't seat you until your fourth person is here. And he said, why not? And she said, that's our policy.
Yeah.
He said, but
And he
but
probably
we're going
went,
to occupy the table. The three of us are going to occupy the table. She said, but our policy is that we will not seat you until the fourth person is here. Well, so they went into this circle of, but that's our policy. But we're going to sit at the table. The three of us will be there and and so finally he pulled somebody who was sitting at the bar, and he pulled it. And he said, "Will you be our fourth person?" And so he comes back and he says, "Okay, we're a party of four now." I mean, it's ludicrous.
yeah,
And so many
it
times we
is.
say all new patients have to, you're going to be receiving an email that will have your forms to complete. So make sure you download those and complete them before you come in. Please arrive 15 minutes early and bring your insurance card with you. Please park in the blah, blah, blah. We give them all the rules and regulations of becoming a patient in the practice, as opposed to this is how we're going to make you feel while you're here. And we're
Yeah,
going to make it as seamless as possible. I'm going to guide you through this so you feel well taken care of and you're in the right place. And,
yeah.
insurance is, let's face it, insurance isn't going to pay for everything.
No,
So,
it's not.
so I will buy from people that I like. I will buy from people that I trust. So at some point, there is going to be a conversation about whether or not the patient feels that they chose well. And once again, it goes back to insurance. My husband is funny because when he's talking, and he's typically talking large cases.
Yeah.
Um, so if the patient
Cosmetic, nice
yeah,
cases. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, full mouth rehabilitations and
Yes.
composite bonding and so if the patient says, "Well, what about my insurance?" And he says, I don't know a whole lot about insurance, but I think that most insurance companies pay about $1,000. That's their kind of their annual allowance.
Yep.
And he says, is $1,000 going to make a difference in choosing your care?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, he'll approach the question. Um, and
Especially when you can get like you can finance it and it's like, oh no, insurance actually really isn't a big deal. I can finance it if I needed to.
yeah, yeah.
Like
So that's
payment
why
plans.
that's why they work really well together. So dental
Hmm.
insurance is not the financial answer for most patients. It's once again, it's an additive, it's a supplement,
Yep.
it's an allowance. It rarely, unless I am, if I am under contract with several, in-network, PPOs and
Hmm.
then I am relying on insurance. And I'm also, I mean, once again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but you have to tell yourself that if I'm going to rely on insurance coverage, then I have to tell myself that I'm going to be taking anywhere from a 40 to a 55% cut in pay. And
Yeah.
if I'm going to do that, first of all, I need to make sure that I'm calculating that. Here would have been my gross production. Here
Hmm.
was my net after insurance write-offs or after
Yeah.
write-offs. Here was my net. So if I'm, talking to associates or if talking to team members, here was what our gross production was, but after write-offs, here was our net. So I want to make sure that I'm, comparing apples and oranges. So I have to tell myself that if I'm going to be writing off 40 to 55% because I'm working under contract under certain plans, what am I going to need more of? Patience. I'm going to need
Yeah.
more patience.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can choose to have fewer patients and gain more income with fewer patients, or I am going to have to seek out more patients because I'm getting less income. I'm getting less reimbursement from the dentistry. I'm not saying one or the other is wrong. You have to understand that, and those practices will operate differently. The fee
Yes.
for service, less insurance dependent practice is going to operate differently from the insurance dependent, totally insurance dependent or heavily insurance dependent practice.
The other day, Deborah, I was on this topic of you're talking about patient cohorts. This is what I do on the weekend when I'm bored, I guess. Um, I'm like, hey, what are the differences between a PPO patient, like the financial, the geeky stuff, the business stuff, right? What are the differences between a PPO patient, a cash paying patient, and a membership patient, right? And how you're talking about this just triggered this weekend exercise.
Okay.
It wasn't a weekend exercise. I'm kidding. I recorded a podcast a couple Fridays ago with Dr. Dan Nelson, and he is one of our clients here at BoomCloud, and has an amazing membership program that they've grown over in Idaho. And we digged into all their data, and we found that PPO patients on average for his practice, and these are his stats, right, for his practice,
Yeah.
they spend like roughly around $400 or $500 a year, with the practice, or the year we looked at it. Then we looked at cash patients. They spent about $900. That's interesting. Well, we know why. You just said it, the 40 to 50% discount, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
I would imagine they gave a discount to the cash paying patients. But interestingly enough, we looked at case acceptance for each cohort. The PPO patient case acceptance was about 30%. Yes, I'll do the treatment. Cool. Yeah, you're using the benefit, the
Right.
allowance.
Right.
That makes sense. The cash patient said yes about 20 to 24% of the time, right, to treatment, because they didn't have an allowance. They don't have things,
Right.
right?
Right.
And then we looked at the membership patient. They spent on average $2,200 a year. That's including the subscription, right? And they said yes to treatment about 40% of the time. So I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. Why is that? Right. Well, we know that PPO plan helps patients say yes to treatment because of the allowance, the limited allowance, right?
Mhm.
But after that, they don't really go past that. And you made a comment earlier in the podcast that insurance companies, the reason why they haven't increased it from like 1,500 to 2,000 or 300 allowances because like, well, nobody uses it. My theory is that, well, was because you guys designed a plan that has limits.
Right.
So the patient, of
Yeah.
course, isn't going to use all of it because of the limiting and the red taping and all that fun stuff you guys do. It's almost like you've
Yeah.
been in business. Insurance companies have been in business for some time. They know what they're doing. They have
Well,
perfected
yeah.
their business model.
And I remember back in the day, way back in the day, insurance companies, their goal was to make at least 30 cents on the dollar. And
Okay.
yeah,
Oh,
and then when it dropped down to they were only making 14 cents on the dollar, they said, okay, we got to fix something.
sure.
Because think about it. And once again, hey, more power to them. But if you take a look at the annual income, the annual salary for a CEO of an insurance company and the annual income of a private practice dentist,
Yeah.
it's
Drastic difference.
very different,
Like
very
shockingly.
shockingly different.
Yes.
Yeah, and overhead different, and building is different. Once
Yeah, some of
again,
the biggest
they are what
buildings.
they are. And you know what? I will say this once again. I belong to a group called the Academy for Private Dental Practice. It's a great organization, and it's been
Yeah.
around 60 plus years. They have a meeting every year, in March.
Yeah, I
This year,
think we've been to it a couple times with you.
yeah, this year it's going to be in Tucson. Last year, one of our keynotes was the incoming, who's now the current president of the
Uh-huh.
ADA, Brett Kessler. Dr. Brett
Okay.
Kessler, he's a inspirational. He truly was. I mean, he was a very impactful speaker. One of the things he said about insurance, and I embraced it. I understand. And he said, regardless of what you want to say, bad or good about insurance, and
Sure.
it did bring people to dentistry who may not have sought dental care.
Yeah. Sure.
So he said, you have to, because a lot of people are not thrilled that Delta is all over the ADA site, the ADA page. And there was a dental school. I just saw this on Facebook this morning. I geek out between 4 and 6:30 in the morning and read
We all geek out. Yeah.
I read all the Facebook groups and blah blah blah. And apparently there's a dental school and their dental clinic is called the Delta Dental Clinic at that particular school.
Okay.
And who subsidized that?
Yeah.
So
Sure.
got insurance companies subsidizing dental schools. It's not that dental insurance is not going to go away. It's
No,
how you learn to communicate what it will and will not do for your patients
I love it.
and what you expect it to do. And once again, I think you have to be realistic. If you have a high volume, low fee practice, I mean, I have a client in Iowa, and she said, I'm busy. She's now dropping plans. She said,
Mhm.
started her practice 3 years ago, and she's a BoomCloud client. She started her practice 3 years ago.
Yay.
She brought, she needed to build it quickly. And she brought people in because she participated in all these plans. And then she realized I am booked out. And I think I saw her February, maybe. And she says, I'm booked out until December, but I'm not making any money.
Oh, wow. She's booked out for
She's
this
booked out. She
till
can't make it. She
December.
can't. She's booked out until December, but she's not making any money because she was participating in these plans. And so she
Mhm.
was accepting the fee that was on these plans. So I remember being in her office and she was talking to a patient, and I believe it was a removable partial denture. And you know that
Okay.
because you're a lab guy, lab person.
Yep. Yep.
And
I'm
it was removable
envisioning how to create it right now.
so put your lab hat on. So
Yep.
what is a lab fee for a upper removable partial denture? What's the lab fee for that?
Oh, geez. Now you're testing. I mean, I've been like 9 years out of the dental lab. I don't
I
even know
know,
the
but on
fee
the
for
average,
a few hundred. I
I
don't know.
I no, I'm gonna say it's probably $400 or $500, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Removable partial denture.
Yep. All
Um,
in with all the
yeah,
all
all in.
stages. Yeah.
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 Um, that plan is going to reimburse this doctor $660 for this removable partial denture.
Okay.
She is gonna the patient's gonna have to come back how many times for that denture?
Yeah. Time
So
spent
how many visits? So the doctor, after paying lab, might net, not before overhead, not before
yeah. Oh, yeah.
personnel, not before rent, but she might net 300 and some dollars after insurance, after she pays her lab bill.
Yeah. And then she's got to have, yeah, the
Then
hours from employees, supplies, and all that stuff. Yeah.
she's got to turn the lights on. She's got to put the key in the door.
There's some removable dentistry that like when the practices get their check from the insurance company, they're underwater already.
Yeah. So I
Just
always
like,
say to the
geez.
patients, once again, we'll do our very best to help you receive whatever. And if it doesn't, we'll go back to if the patient says, how much do you charge for? Same thing. Do you take my insurance? We always say, I'll be happy to tell you how we handle insurance.
Yes.
I'm going to avoid saying, unfortunately, we don't, or what insurance do you have? No, we're not in network. I'm going to hang up the phone. I'm not going to say we accept all insurances without limitation. So, I'd be happy to tell you how we handle insurance, and we can talk about that plan, and we can say this is the relationship we have with that plan. We are in an out of network relationship with that plan. But I think it even goes back to how much do you charge for? Same thing. You got a telephone shopper, and back in the day when we heard that there was a patient on the telephone who was shopping, it was like, oh, it's a shopper, shopper.
Sounds like
I
a buyer.
Yeah, it's called, yeah, exactly. They're a buyer.
Yeah.
And we'd say things like, I'm sorry, we don't quote fees over the phone, neener, 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 or we can't quote a fee over the phone until you come in for a complete examination and x-rays, and then we'll sit down and tell you what you need.
Yeah.
Once again, I'd be happy to discuss our fees with you.
Yes, I'd have
Or,
yes.
yeah, before I do, can I ask you a couple questions? And then when I'm getting around what inspired you to call us? I mean, it sounds like you're looking for the
Yeah,
right.
get curious.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about what you're looking for. When I'm asking questions, I'm in control.
Yes.
So, but I also think if you're getting ready to talk about your fees, our fees are based on three things. Our fees are based on the skill required to do it right, the time it takes to do it well, and the materials that we use, the laboratories with whom we partner, the quality of care that we seek to provide our patients so that we know that you're going to be satisfied with your end result.
Yeah.
So fees are based on skill, time, and materials. And I will actually even say to the patient,
I love that.
yeah,
Fees are based off of skill, time, and
time and
materials, and
materials.
quality. You can add
Yeah,
quality there too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, once again, skill to do it well, the time it
Yeah,
takes to do
it's
it
assumed.
right. Yeah. So time it takes to do it right means quality. And then I will say to the patient, if you're looking for the practice with the lowest fee possible, we may not be the practice that you choose. Because
Yeah.
that's not what we're known for.
Yeah. We
What
want to
we're known
make sure that you've
for,
got quality,
yeah. So
what?
we would rather, what, and our feeling is, whether you paid $400 or $4,000, if you aren't happy, you paid too much. And if you didn't feel
Yeah.
that you were taken care of in the manner which that you should come to expect, then we would rather explain our fees once than ever have to apologize for your experience in our office.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I love
Yeah.
that.
And
So it's just,
it marries into even talking about insurance once again. Yeah. We're just not going to let the exceptions or exclusions or limitations dictate the quality of care that we know we can provide.
yeah,
See, it
that's
goes
so
back
good.
to the note that we know we can provide.
The opposite of that is years ago when I was at the dental lab, I remember receiving a lab slip that said this word for word. Please fabricate the cheapest crown possible because of the patient's the insurance, right?
Right.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, geez, doc,
Yeah.
like one, if I were the patient and I saw that, I would be angry
Yeah.
because I'm like, I want quality things wherever from medical professionals. I don't want the cheapest thing. And this is
Well,
me.
here's
And
the
then
other reality of
there's
yeah.
definitely patients out there that want the cheap things, right?
But here's the other reality of that. And I don't even know where I heard this. It might have been one of my clients.
Hmm.
It might have been my brilliance one night. I don't remember. But um, people who don't have a lot of means need the best because they can't afford to do it over.
Oh, that is so good.
Think about it.
Say that one more time. That was great.
Yeah. People who don't have the means, or people who don't have a lot of money, actually should be buying the best because they can't afford to buy it again. They can't
Yeah.
afford to do it over.
Yeah.
So once again, I mean, I use kind of
Mm,
an analogy when we first built our house years ago. I chose the cheapest landscaper.
sure.
I had to have it redone
Yep.
because they took shortcuts, short changes. They didn't unbind the ball at the bottom of the trees. The trees died. I mean, they didn't grade the soil properly. They didn't create French drains where French drains needed to go. I was naive. I didn't know. So when it
So
all kind of failed, it's like I kind of got what I paid for.
yeah, often the cheapest thing becomes the most expensive thing
Ah, da.
because
Yeah.
of the do-over or the redo or whatever it
Yeah.
may be. Yeah, that's
So
actually
yeah.
I love that. I love that phrase. That was
I
really
think the
cool.
other thing too, and
First time I've heard that.
this was from one of my clients. This is funny. So I did some work. I also do some work like with plastic surgeries and surgeons. And I
Okay.
have a client in Seattle. He's a plastic surgeon, and he does very, very, very well. And
Oh yeah.
he has an entire wall of Chihuly glass.
Okay.
Oh, entire wall of his
Yeah.
Chihuly glass collection. And when you
Uh-huh.
get up the elevator, before you walk in his door, he has a Chihuly glass piece. That's probably 4 feet long and 3 feet high in this case. I mean, it's amazing. Well, my client's mother goes to this doctor, and I was talking to him, Norm, and I said, "Oh my gosh." He said, "My mother's not wealthy." And I said, "She's not." And he said, "No, but you know what? Poor people like nice things too."
Yeah, they do.
And it's like,
And there's ways for them to get it.
well, and why would you treat anyone? Why would you treat anyone differently based on what you assume their financial status to be?
Yeah.
Because I could sing that I don't have money, and I do, and I could sing that I do have money, and I don't.
Yeah, you're absolutely
So treat
right.
everybody
So,
the same, and you won't be in trouble.
oh, I love that. Man, there's a lot of good one-liners in here. This is great. No, I love it. Deborah, this has been really fun.
Thanks.
I've lost track of time. I don't even know when we
I know,
started. I
I don't
know it's
even
just
know.
been great.
But I think it goes back to, I would hope that what would happen is I think is important for team members to hear this because we've got to get out of the mindset of all patients are insurance driven, all patients are
Yes.
financial driven. All patients can or can't afford. I hear so many times, and you probably hear it too, our patients are different, our practice is
Yes, I've heard
different, our
that.
patients they never would go for it. We tried that before. We've heard that before. It's like, wow. So once again, is what we started at the top of the hour.
Yes.
You're stopping yourself before you start. And you know what? If you think you're going to fail, you're right. If you think you're going
Yes.
to win, you're right.
Yeah. Either way. Yeah, you're
Either
right.
way,
Such
you're
a good,
right.
that's such a good saying. Deborah, you got a website. I'm on it right now. You've got
Yeah.
these power tips for powerful dental practices, it looks like.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how do people learn more from you? Because I've taken a bunch of notes here, and it's like I scribble a lot when I'm talking, and um, but they're so valuable. And I say that because a lot of what you're saying is universal that I can apply to even my own company. I'm not a dentist. I don't own a dental practice, but I am in a customer business, and everything you said here can apply to, my own company. And how do our listeners get more from you?
Oh, that's so fun. Well, they can go on my website and request more information.
Okay.
I would be happy to throw out my cell phone. I don't have a meter
Oh,
on it.
wow.
I mean, they can call me on my cell phone. They can text me. I think, I'm getting ready to do I was doing a Zoom training for an office at the first part of December, and she actually heard me speak, and then she went on and say, "Hey, would you do a Zoom workshop for my team?" So
Yeah.
I'd like to have them hear you. My cell phone number is 704-904-3459. If you miss a digit and say 3458, you're going to call Ross and he won't know what to say. And I always
The
laugh.
bald guy will be clueless.
The bald guy will say, call me. Now, when I give out a phone number, here's what I see. Isn't that an O? Isn't that O a zero? It's a 70.
Yeah, zero. Yeah, zero.
And so,
I
but so
say
many
O
times when
too.
we all say, "Oh, it's not
Yeah,
an O, it's a zero,
it's
70."
zero. Yeah,
Zero.
yeah. Thanks for
Yeah.
clarifying. We'll
I
put
always say zero, and people always repeat it back to me, and they say, "Oh," and I go, "Am I right? Are they right? Does it matter? It's a zero." Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Matters when they punch it in. But
I'll put your
yeah,
website as well
they
in the
can reach
show
out to me.
notes. Yeah,
Yeah.
reach out to Deborah.
They can
She's
come to dental
amazing.
business school too. And I'm doing New Jersey, California,
Okay.
and Charlotte. There's dental
Hmm.
school 2 day.
We should have you do a session here in Utah at our office here. I think that'd be cool.
Oh my gosh, I should.
We should. So many practices here need Deborah.
Oh, and so many practices are in Utah, and so many
Yeah.
dental companies are in
In
Utah.
Utah. Yeah.
They're all in Utah,
Yeah.
and you
We need
all
to collaborate.
you kind of mingle.
Yeah, we're all on the same street. It's funny. Like
I know you
literally I
are.
can throw a rock and I can hit solution reach, and I can throw another rock and I can hit weave, and I can throw another rock with a little bit more thrust, and I can hit dental intelligence. We're all here. It's
Yeah,
weird. I
you
often
guys
say
are.
it's probably the fluoride in the water that's created so many dental tech companies here in Utah.
Yeah. Well, okay. And without offending anybody, and I say this, and we won't get into any sort of religious things, it's probably because Jesus did visit the Americas, and he
That's
came to
it. You
and he
nailed
came to Utah.
it. You
That's
nailed
what
it. That's the
that's
reason
what
why.
I heard. I mean, I was talking to eAssist. eAssist is in Utah, and we
Yes,
were
E-Assist
talking
is
about
here too.
this. Yeah.
That's
So
so funny. I love that so much.
yeah.
Go to Deborah's website, book her, go look at her speaking schedule, register for her business courses. She's amazing, as you've just witnessed on the show today. With that said, we hope everyone has a rocking day.
See ya. My dog says goodbye.